Welcome to Level Up Tribes. Level Up Tribes provides resources to help you attain the necessary resources to level up your mind, body, and soul and realize your full potential. It is about exploring, learning, providing you with the tools from the experts for you to create a better version of yourself. I am your host, Agnes Goodwine, and welcome, Tribes.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for remembering me and reaching out to me.
Oh, absolutely. I started my podcast early 2019, and then I went to Birmingham for the International Municipal Clerks Association, and I took your class. And when I was sitting there and listening to your story and your message, I said, one day I want her to be on my podcast. That would be awesome. And see, here we are.
So you set the intention and the universe conspired to make it happen.
Yes.
I'm happy. I'm very glad and I'm happy for you too. You've got some really great content going there.
Thank you so much. Yes, I absolutely love it. I get to meet so many wonderful people and, learning about their stories and how they break through to whatever they're going through. And now they're helping others. So that's what life is about, right?
Sure is.
Yeah.
That's what makes it worthwhile. When you go through the valleys and the lessons you learn in the valleys, you come out the other side and you can help someone make it through their valley.
Yes. And one thing that I loved about your message and the way that you present your seminars is that it's so authentic and it's real and it's raw.
It's not personal. It's not powerful. That's the way I feel about it. And I feel that if I can be candid and share with candor what I've gone through, then it'll help other people open up their hearts so the message can get in. Because while I teach hard skills, communication and dealing with difficult people and the practical stuff, we are people. We're human beings. We all go through so many different things, and you can't separate the personal from the professional, really. You're one package. Mm-hmm. You bring your work home with you. You do. And then you bring your home to work with you. Exactly. You have to. So you're one person. And I believe, it's been a long journey for me to get to authenticity because I thought I used to have to fake it.
Yes.
I wanted everybody to think, it was perfect as it looked on Instagram and Facebook. And it's exhausting to keep up a performance. And I finally, when I hit around 55, maybe a little sooner than that, I just quit. I quit. I said, that's it. I'm tired of faking it, getting off the rat race, the tightrope of appearances. And I just want to really be Brenda. And that's when I think my life really began then.
Oh, how beautiful. Well, you look great.
Oh, you're sweet.
I want to go ahead and get our interview started. I want to apologize ahead of time. My neighbors are doing some landscaping. So for our listeners and for you might hear some background noise. So I apologize ahead of time for that.
I don't hear anything. It sounds good to me.
Yeah. And so my dog, he's very sensitive to that. So he might bark and come in and out sometimes.
And speaking of dogs, you will see over my left shoulder is my little 16-year-old Sheltie Shasta, who will be running around, but she doesn't usually bark. She usually naps all afternoon. So,
well, today is the first anniversary of my Bella passing away. My dog, Bella, passed away last year. And so she popped up on my memory, my Facebook memory this morning. And I'm like, oh. So I have to do something special for her today in her memory, right?
Well, Bella, we are thinking of you. We know you are the angel running around in the office with your mommy and over the Rainbow Bridge there where there's no more pain and suffering.
Oh, thank you for that. That was beautiful.
It's true.
So let me give you a proper introduction. Viola, former news anchor, QVC show host, and a PR marketing pro. She's also a professional award-winning public information officer who spurred the creation of municipal educational seminars. Her professional skill development and personal growth initiative company helps professionals reclaim the joy of service while avoiding burnout. She's also the author of the Public Servant Survival Guide, which I absolutely love.
Aw.
It's all about the unsung heroes who directly affect the quality of life in the community. The book is available on Amazon.
Yeah. And you know what? For your listeners, I would be happy to send them a signed copy. If they want to email me at brenda@meseminars.com, I would be happy to send them a PayPal link. I'll even discount the cost of the book and sign them a personal message. Because you know what? After 2020 and even 2021, we sure need a survival guide, right?
Yes, 100%.
I'd be happy to do that.
Yes. So, how are you doing? And talking about surviving through this pandemic, how was your experience in 2020? I know you did a lot of videos inspiring people with word of the day and different little messages. How was 2020 for you? And
It started out. So 2020 started out. My dream was to write a book, and it finally came out. And I had book tours planned and speaking engagements planned. And then the world shut down. And I had to make a decision. I was either going to have a pity party or I was going to pivot. And I
yes,
think we all have those decisions at key junctures in our life. Am I going to pivot and make lemonade out of the lemons, or am I going to just, dig a hole and dive into it? So I pivoted. I got my certified virtual speaking credentials. And then I was able to convert a lot of what had been in-person speaking engagements to virtual speaking engagements. And, I have to tell you, I first thought, how am I going to be able to connect with people like I do live in the room, feeling the energy? And I realized that you can still look into someone's eyes on Zoom and read their energy and sort of sense what they're feeling and go with what is lighting them up and change your message accordingly. So 2020 was about reinventing my work. And 2021 has been about work as a lifeline for me. Because I have to tell you, you always say that I am candid about what I go through.
yes.
So I have to tell you, in 2021, I lost my mom. And then just about 6 weeks ago, I lost my life partner.
Oh, no.
And my heart has been broken in 2021 in ways that I couldn't even fathom. And if you had told me 6 weeks ago I could talk to you right now without crying, I would have said impossible. But you don't know how strong you are until you have to be strong. And I have had to pull myself up from my bootstraps, find out what I really believe. If I really believe that the universe has got my back, and that there is good in this world and that things do turn out for good, if I really believe that people are good and life is good, then even in the darkness, I found the silver lining. And I'm here to encourage anybody who's listening, because there may be some of your listeners who are going through dark times right now and they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I am here to tell you, this too shall pass. Whatever it is that you're going through, this too shall pass. And yes, will my love for my mom and my love for my partner and the sting of the loss be with me probably the rest of my life. But I know they want me to soldier on and still be the Brenda that they knew and loved. So I am devoting this time with you today in honor of them, and knowing that they want me to still be a light to people and still encourage others. So there you go. I'm all a little choked up now.
My God, that was beautiful. And my condolences to you for losing your mom. Betty. Was that her name? Betty?
Yes,
Miss Betty?
I always talk about her in my speeches.
And
yes.
you write about her in your book as well, because when I was reading about her, she had to pivot also, and she was doing the ironing, and you guys created that flyer for her. And
oh, for those of you who don't know, my mom, 85 years old, loved her little job at BJ's Wholesale Club. She would hand out coupons to people that would come into the store. She loved it. It gave her a reason a couple days a week to put makeup on, do her hair, wear clothes, and just be interacting with people. She loved it. Well, after a few months, she was doing great, but they cut the program. And so she was called into the office and they discontinued her position and they laid her off. Well, there's nothing worse than seeing your 85-year-old mom cry. And my sister and I were just like, what do we do for mom? So we sat down with her and we said, Mom, what do you like to do? Because she was just heartbroken. And she paused for a minute. And I know you know this story, but your listeners don't. She paused and she said, I really like to iron. And we were like incredulous. What? Nobody likes to iron, but my mom liked to iron. And it's another example of reinventing yourself of, you might think you're at the end of the road. And then if you just don't stay in the hole, if you just think, maybe there's something else for me. When one door closes, another one opens. So we were able to make a flyer for my mom, and she was going to take on some ironing clients, and it gave her renewed life. So that's my mom's story I tell out there, because so many times in our own work, there are things that we hate to do.
Yes.
I personally, give me numbers give me a headache, give me words.
Same.
Words for me are like crossword puzzles. They're invigorating. Just give me a paragraph to edit and I'm like, yippee, I love it. Well, oftentimes we are in work groups and the very thing we hate to do, someone 3 cubicles over may love to do it. So teamwork is part of what I talk about in the book. And I know we want to talk about fear today, but sometimes we are too afraid to ask for help because we want to look like we've got it all together.
Absolutely.
Like, I can't ask someone to help me with that spreadsheet because they'll think I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, guess what? You don't know what you're doing. You do need help. It's not a problem to ask for help, to draw on someone else's strengths. That's situational leadership. Stop trying to be perfect. That puts pressure on you to perform in a way that no human possibly can. I always say this: you are flawed. Sell it.
Yes.
But you're awesome. You are flawsome. So embrace.
I love that.
Embrace your flawsomeness. Embrace it. And you know what? That person that can help you out with the spreadsheet, I bet really wants you to help them with their budget message, the paragraphs. So collaboration helps us to forestall burnout. We can't afford to have good people burning out in very important positions that keep our communities and our societies vibrant. So I love that you mentioned my mom, and she's the angel over my shoulder right now. Yes. So she likes that story.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. Now that you've pivoted to online, so are you like 100% online, or are you back doing live seminars in person?
So just a few months ago, I got back to doing live. Now, the International Institute of Municipal Clerks did meet in person this past year, and I was there. But then there was the resurgence of COVID, and so some other things went virtual. The rest of my calendar this year is in person, but primarily in Florida. Although I'm already booking for 2022, and it looks like it's going to be all in person because people are excited to get back to some semblance of normalcy. Now, we all take precautions. I mean, I don't go anywhere without my mask. It's right here. I'm always careful about socially distancing. I know it's a hot button topic for a lot of people, but, I always ask, I'm not judging, but I always ask, have you been vaccinated? And I put myself in situations where I feel comfortable. Because I had an elderly mom, I was hyper vigilant. I couldn't afford to be around her. And while I might have been okay, she wouldn't have been. So I think it's important to do what feels safe and good and right. There was an engagement a few months ago, and it was supposed to be in person. And truthfully, I just didn't have a good feeling about it. And they were kind enough to let me do this virtually. So I promised I would deliver, and it ended up still being a great session, and everybody was super safe too. So great question, though. It's very relevant for the days that we're living in, for sure.
Well, I wanted to follow it up with has your message is always very optimistic and full of light. Has your message changed because of everything that we've going through this pandemic? Have you changed your message?
Great question. And I have to say that my message of positivity has not changed, but it has morphed to meet the need. And I am not one for toxic positivity, which is Pollyanna, just buckle up and put a smile on your face. No, I want to encourage people to find their joy again, to reclaim their joy. And that takes work. It's not all Pollyanna and woohoo. It is hard work sometimes. Many times in the last few months, I have sobbed into my pillow and said, Brenda, who are you at your core? What do you really believe? This is where the rubber meets the road. It is work to find my alignment again with joy and love and peace and who I believe is my God, my source. That is an unsinkable cork. I believe every person in their heart has an unsinkable cork. Sometimes life just piles on. And I just encourage that, all right, so I'll tell you this. I am fortunate enough to have a swimming pool over my left shoulder here. And one of my jobs is to clean the deck with a pressure washer. So I shoot away all the leaves and the bugs and the dirt and make it all shiny and new. And that's kind of fun. I don't mind taking the pressure washer because I like seeing progress, things going flying out and it's all nice and clean. Well, one day I was doing my pressure washer on the deck and all of a sudden, nothing. And I'm like, what's going on? I even put the nozzle right up at my face. It's a good thing it didn't start working or I would have been soaked. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I looked over my shoulder and the hose had gotten twisted, which was stopping the flow. So here's my message. I believe there is a steady stream, a steady flow of good in all of our lives. Yeah. It's there. It's just sometimes your hose gets twisted. So you need to just go back and see where it got twisted. Maybe someone looked at you the wrong way and you took it personally. Maybe someone was mean to you and, you didn't realize that they had a horrible fight with their spouse that morning. There's so many things that can twist our hose. And the battle between your ears, the thoughts we think. We entertain thoughts sometimes that are so counter to our happiness and our joy. And sometimes you just have to untwist the hose to get the flow back going in your life. And that takes work. So yes, I'm still a very positive person, but boy, it's not like everything's all sunshine and roses in my life. It's dealing with the hard stuff and saying, I shall rise again.
This is a good segue to talk about our topic today, which is fear. Facing the bully to realize your dreams. So let's talk about that. Is fearless living possible, especially during this time?
Even if it wasn't this time, I always say, and there's a bunch of books that have been written, fearless living, baloney. Fear is a part of life. Yeah. In a lot of ways, it's sort of your spidey senses, not to go down that dark alley because of fear. It's a healthy fear, because you've burned your hand on the stove before, not to stick your hand on the stove again. Healthy fear. Fear keeps us out of trouble in a lot of ways. It becomes toxic when it shuts us down. Now, fear to me, I've had to make friends with it and realize that, yep, it's there, but I'm not going to let it bully me. And some people have said, Brenda, why did you create a class about fear? And I say, well, I don't have a PhD, but I do have an SCS, scaredy cat syndrome. I am a recovering scaredy cat. I have thought about all the times in my life, especially growing up when I was a teenager, when I didn't even walk down certain hallways because the mean girls were there, or the colleges I didn't apply to because I was too afraid, the boys I didn't flirt with because I was afraid of rejection. all the opportunities missed in life because I let fear shut me down. Fear shrinks you. Fear shrinks you. And I reached a point where I said, you know what? I'm going to dive into this topic because I don't want fear, the bully, to shut me down anymore. I've got one life to live as Brenda Viola, and I want to live it well. And fear, you're done bullying me. So no, there's no such thing as fearless living, but you can use fear as a springboard. You know what's interesting? Fear feels a lot like something which is positive, which is excitement. So sometimes I even say, you know what? I'm excited about this opportunity. Now, I might be shaking in my boots, but if I call it excitement, it sort of takes the negative edge out of it. Yeah, I'm a little bit of afraid, but you know what? The other side of that fear is new horizons, new accomplishments, new expansion in my life, new Brenda. So I am going to go there. And I want to encourage all of your listeners, go there. Face your fears, go there, because on the other side are miracles and dreams come true. And that's what I want for me and you.
You know, my biggest fear is public speaking and being on like
and you have
live
a podcast.
I know. And being on live like video, like that's my fear. You know, English is my second language. So there's some times where I might say a word wrong or it doesn't make sense. And so it's that fear of someone judging me for that. And so the podcast really, it came about because of that. I did start a Toastmaster class. And then from the Toastmaster program, I said, I'll start my podcast. So maybe soon I'll go into maybe a live video podcast. I don't know. One day I'll face my fears in regards to that.
First of all, mad props to you for facing your fear. And you know, it's so interesting. The things, all right, your listeners can't see me, but if it ever goes on YouTube, maybe they'll notice. I have one eye that droops more than the other one. And I am so hyper aware of it. To me, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. Nobody else notices it.
Yeah, I don't notice.
I don't care. You say, English is my second language, or maybe I don't say things right. All I think about when I hear you is how lovely and warm and gracious you sound and genuinely interested in people. We are so hard on ourselves. And I think it's time for us to all quit that and start loving on ourselves and start accentuating the positives, because you're providing a service. You're bringing beautiful information to people, uplifting information. Facing your fears is going to help other people face theirs too. And the sky's the limit. We are the CEO of our lives, and only we can limit ourselves. Oh, you just got me on my favorite topic, which is you can't point the finger out and blame anyone else for where you're at in life. No, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
Even if they were horrible, it's how we respond to life that determines how the story's going to go. So I applaud you for writing your own story and taking step by step to your freedom and finding your voice and using it skillfully. Good for you.
Thank you so much. For those that want to kick fear in the rear.
I love that. That's what I should have called this. Kick fear in the rear.
What are some steps? So I know, having the courage, but maybe some action steps. Like what do you gave me some tips here, but what are other ways we can move forward with that?
So I think primary number one is start being the gatekeeper of your mind. I often tell this story. If a noted serial killer knocked at your door,
oh God,
would you open up and say, "Hey, Charlie Manson, come on in. Let me get some coffee. Let me put a pot of coffee on. Here, I'll set up the guest bedroom. Let's get a piece of cake together. Be my roommate." You wouldn't do that, would you?
Well, no.
I mean, if you knew, if I knew it was a serial killer. Well, we entertain, just like we wouldn't entertain a serial killer, we entertain negative thoughts all the time and let them stay there instead of kicking them to the curb. How many times do we hear the internal critic that says you're a loser, you'll never make it, you're this, you're overweight, you're that, and we wouldn't let anyone talk to our best friend that way. And yet we entertain the chatter in our brains. And you know why? Because we're afraid it's for real. We are afraid that those negative things are right. And I'm telling you, they're not.
Yes.
Your inner being loves you. Your inner being, your source adores you and believes the best of you and says you will make it. And you're a winner and you're a caring, worthy person of good things. Sometimes you have to preach to yourself and kick those bad tenets out, because every fear begins with a phrase. What if? What if I ask for that raise and they say no? What if I put myself out there and I fail? What if? And I say, flip those what ifs around and say, what if I ask for a raise and they give it to me? What if I put myself out there and they invite me? What if, make your what ifs good ones. Yeah. Be a gatekeeper in your own mind. Nobody can kick out those bad thoughts but you. Yes. Say, I have a zero, schools now, back when I was in school, they didn't have zero tolerance for bullying. There were bullies all over the place. Have a zero bullying policy in your brain and say, like I will not tolerate the bully in my brain anymore, because those thoughts left unchecked will build and build and build until it becomes full-blown fear. And next thing you know, you don't even want to leave the house because you're just terrified. Be your own best friend. I always say that fears all begin with a lie. Now, we've all heard the acronym false evidence appearing real for fear. I say lethal, internal, erosive suggestions. It's just lethal, internal, erosive suggestions. That's how fear starts. So nip those lies in the bud before they grow, before it gains momentum. Stop them in their tracks. Love yourself enough to stop them in your tracks. And by the way, the opposite of fear is love. It's love. So love yourself, and that will kick your fears to the curb. Oh, that's a biggie.
That's beautiful. We can end it right there, but we're not.
I really think that the true journey every individual is on is the journey to self-love.
Yes, absolutely.
If you will finally say, I love me enough to expect better, to know I'm worthy for good things, to realize that it may be a no now, but it doesn't mean I'm rejected. Rejection isn't that, it's redirection. You're being redirected. Love yourself. Oh, that for me was the biggie. And I still have to fight that battle every single day. You look at someone on Instagram and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you don't realize that they've been photoshopped out the wazoo. You know what I mean? They're not really looking that good.
Exactly.
Life is a series of challenges, and they all can bring us to fear, or we can choose to let them bring us to love. If we do that, man, it's a powerful thing because love never fails.
It is. That was beautiful. I'm going to ask you, do you have a spiritual practice or form of mindfulness that you practice for yourself every day? Like what does Brenda's morning routine look like?
That is really, I love that you asked that. Nobody has ever asked me that, because it's so true. You don't just wake up out of bed and say, yes, woohoo, new day. Sometimes I'm in bed and going, I don't want to get out of there. I want to put the covers over my head. I listen to positive things. I love Abraham Hicks, who is a teacher that speaks about a worldview that everything is always working out for me. It may not even look like it, but if you believe ultimately everything is working out for you, you will find that the world morphs to your belief system. So I listen to positive teachers. I do affirmations. I listen to music. I listen to meditation music and I pray. And it changes day to day. Some days I don't feel like praying. I don't feel like singing. I don't feel like listening to anything. But you know what I'll do? I'll breathe. I'll literally just go in, hold it for a bit, and then let it go. Sometimes just breathing and stopping and breathing and being mindful in the moment. Look, do whatever is in your toolbox. What works for me may not work for you, but I have a few, sometimes taking my little Shasta Sheltie for a walk in the neighborhood. Like you get swamped with the to-do list and Zoom meetings and bills to pay and crises here and there. And sometimes you just need to step away from the computer and take a walk and let the breeze of nature and the sounds of birdsong, the flutter of a butterfly, or just the smile of your neighbor take you out of yourself, and bring you to a place of what I call the one antidote for fear, and that is gratitude.
Oh, yes.
If you can just stop and think about what you are grateful for. I'm not grateful for anything. You're breathing.
Yeah.
You're breathing. Well, everybody has someone in their life who loves them, whether it's a puppy dog or a parent, a child, or a best friend. There's always something you can be grateful for. And a mind marinated in gratitude can't be afraid at the same time.
Yes.
I have had to, in these weeks of loss, losing my best friend and partner, Mark, who I dedicated my book to. And I have been so sorrowful because I miss him so much.
Yeah.
But then the minute he passed away, and I didn't know any of my neighbors, by the way, he was the one out there doing the lawn or walking the dog and interacting with people. I didn't know any of my neighbors. When he passed away, one by one, people came to my door in tears because Mark had touched their lives. And because Mark had touched their lives, they offered to cut my grass. They brought me flowers. Some of them brought me meals. And in the midst of my sorrow, I was so grateful that my Mark had built bridges of love in my neighborhood. And now I have to walk the dog because he's not around to do it. And I can say hi to 5 or 6 people that I didn't even know before. Yes, I miss my Mark. You can focus on the loss,
yes,
or you can focus on the love.
yes.
And if you focus on the love, what you focus on will grow. If you focus on the fear will grow. If you focus on the gratitude will grow. Appreciation will build your life.
Oh. Have you always been this way, Brenda?
No.
Just you have this awareness of gratitude, stillness, mindfulness. Like, where does all that come from? Because not a lot of professional speakers and corporate speakers have this. And that's what makes you a little unique, right? Because you provide this empathy.
Yeah. Well, I always say that my messes have become my message. The person you see today is a product of so many failures and so many missteps, failed marriage, losses, career missteps. And yet through it all, I've learned. And so if you learned something, is it really a mistake or a failure? That's the way I choose to view it. Someone could look at my life and say, well, she did this and she did that and she messed up here. You know what I did? I own it. I own my messes, but they have become my message because I believe every person on earth is worthy and valid and has a story to tell and life lessons to learn and share. And if I can take any of my pain and use it to uplift, I feel like my purpose really is to uplift other people. And so, yes, I am a communicator. My degree is in communication. I'm a writer and I'm a speaker. I'm an author and blah, 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 blah. But to me, anybody can be all that.
Yeah.
I want someone to touch my heart. Please don't waste my time with a bunch of facts. I'm sorry. That's why I do what I do. And I put myself out there because let's make this time meaningful. If we have only 24 hours a day and you're going to let me have one of your hours, then let's make it meaningful. So no, I have not always been this person. I had many dark times, dark valleys of the soul. And don't we all?
Yes.
It's what we choose to do. We either stay there or we don't.
Yes.
When Mark passed away, someone sent me a poem. And in essence, it said this: at every juncture in life that is filled with sorrow or loss, there is a hole or there is a door. And the hole is there and it is beckoning and it is strong and it draws you like a magnet. You just want to dive into that hole and bury yourself. But there is also a door, and that door leads to light and life and love. And at any juncture, you have a choice and you have the power to choose the hole or the door. And so who I am and who anybody can be is a product of their choices. And I choose the door. The door is where my Mark is. It's where my mom is.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in the hole. I want to be where the door is. And so I encourage all of your listeners to choose the door. Choose the door.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you,
You're
Brenda.
welcome.
And it's I'm happy to hear that you have that community now. You know, even though Mark is not, he's spiritually, he's there. Our loved ones never leave us. But that he brought this community for you.
It's like his gift to me. He knew that I was going to have, it's like he knew I was going to need a network, and we all need people. It's no shame to say, I need help. You know, we started out with that and we're sort of ending with it too. These people, you know, I immediately thought, I'm going to need to sell the house. I can't keep this up. I need to get an apartment. And I've realized the comfort of a community, wherever you find it. It could be online. It could be your neighbors. It could just be your church. It could be your social group. When I first got divorced, Toastmasters was my community. It gave me an outlet to use my gifts and learn how to get better at what I do and meet people that were also interested and interesting in the same things that I was interested in. And, you know, find your people. Yeah. And you're creating a community here with your podcast. So yay for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I wanted to play a game with you this morning. Are you down?
I'm always down. I don't know if I'm going to do well at the game, but we'll try, right?
We started with talking about your word of the day videos through the pandemic. And so I just want to throw out just a few words out there to you, and whatever comes to mind, just release that.
Ooh, all right. Okay. I'm on it.
Okay. All right. So first word, courage.
To be a person of courage, you need to surround yourself with encouragement. At the very center of the word encouragement is courage. And if you're feeling like you're a little bit afraid, surround yourself with encouraging people. You can either surround yourself with energy vampires or uplifters. Surround yourself with uplifting people, and you will find you have the courage to do whatever is before you.
Love it. Surrender.
So my Mark, when I was losing my mom, I felt like I was drowning. And I actually almost drowned once when I was a little girl. And I know that feeling of struggling and clamoring to try and get up for air. And I kept hitting bottom. And Mark told me once, he said, you know, if you had just stopped struggling and let go, your natural buoyancy would have brought you to the surface. And I thought, what an analogy for life. So many times we're grasping and holding on and fighting and struggling. And if we just let go, our natural buoyancy will make us rise to the top. So letting go is real freedom in life.
Yes. One more, transformation.
You're picking, you know, your listeners might think you prompted me, but these are three of my favorite words. So transformation, I automatically think of the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. Now, I have a friend who actually farms butterflies.
Oh, lovely.
Right. So she told me this amazing story. She saw this one chrysalis and it wasn't opening. And she thought, you know what? I'm just going to help it open. Yeah. So she pulled it apart so that the butterfly could emerge. But because she had helped it, the butterfly did not have strength in its wings.
Oh.
So if any of your listeners are feeling like they're pushing and pushing and pushing and they can't get out, just know that you are building the strength in your wings so that when you emerge, you can fly. Transformation isn't easy. Yes. But if you will continue to press against the chrysalis, you will transform into the butterfly and you'll have the strength you need so you can fly.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm looking forward to, and maybe this could be my next question. Are you thinking about writing another book? I want to read a book from you that is about everything we talked about today, the affirmations. You know what I'm getting at? More like the self-help book.
I have to tell you that, like I said, my dream was always to be an author, and I'm so grateful that I have. And I started writing another book, and then my mom passed away, and then Mark passed away. And that book title, by the way, which is on pause right now because I just have been, you know what I mean? You got to take care of you. Sure. Don't just plow through the to-do list because you want to meet this deadline. Man, sometimes you got to just stop. So I paused my word of the weeks on Facebook. I paused my blog. I paused writing the book because this has been about taking care of Brenda right now. So maybe that is fodder for another book. But the book I am in the middle of writing, which I will probably start again soon, is called How to Be Heard Without Screaming.
Oh.
We as women particularly, oftentimes we'll be in a meeting, we'll say something, everybody ignores us. And someone else says something and they're like, oh, that's brilliant. Wait a minute. There are ways to communicate so that you will be heard. And I've found that providing some real coaching on that. I also do a workshop on that topic. I do a boatload of different workshops, from the fear factor to the public servant survival guide to dealing with difficult people and corporate culture and all that. But I feel like the book you're talking about is in the birthing process as I go through the grieving process.
Okay.
Because it is through those dark valleys that some of the greatest lessons of life. Look over your shoulder. Look at the things you've survived.
Yes.
Haven't they made you who you are?
Absolutely.
So I think that, yes, I'm hoping that there are many books in my future and many opportunities to uplift people. And I would love to hear from your audience. I'm at brenda@meseminars.com, or you can visit meseminars.com. Me stands for municipal education, but it also stands for you, me seminars.
I love it.
And I want to tell you that I often interview people or am speaking, but very few times have I been interviewed. And I feel myself deeply touched by the heart behind your questions and your sincere desire to learn and to listen. So thank you. It's a gift. Welcome.
I feel honored to have you in front of me and to chat with you on this Friday morning.
It's my own.
Hopefully I don't get choked up while I'm talking about it, but
hey, you know what? I always feel like if you got a few tears, that's just a sign that it was a good time, because it touched your heart, and it touched my heart to be with you today.
Thank you. So wrapping it up, is there anything else you would like to add or discuss that perhaps we didn't touch on today?
Man, did we cover the gamut?
You did. We did.
Well, look, I'm opportunistic, so I will tell you that I'm ready to get back to life, get back to speaking, get back to incorporating my messages to all different types of audiences. And I had always focused on the municipal market, clerks, librarians, public works, managers. But this year I've expanded to all kinds of corporate offices. So if your corporate office needs a boost, your organization or your upcoming conference needs somebody that's not just going to talk, but's going to connect and touch the heart, I would be honored to work with you. Reach out to me. And, a little shameless self-promotion at the end here. How about that?
Oh, I love it. So give us your website. I know you have 2 websites. Okay.
BrendaViola.com. And I have to tell you, that is where several years of blog posts live. So if you want,
yes, I love them.
Oh,
I was going to mention that the blog page, very deep articles here.
I haven't done them in a while. Like I said, I've been in the
Yeah.
healing process right now, but yeah, BrendaViola.com. And then for the corporate training and workshops and deep dives and keynotes and all that, that's meseminars.com.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today and giving us so many beautiful messages. Thank you.
Thank you.
And keep doing all the work, that you do for not just the government employees, but now touching different corporate areas as well. And I'm looking forward to your books, and, maybe you can do an app, because I wouldn't mind waking up every morning and listening to those positive, affirmations, listening to your voice to say, kick fear in the rear.
Ooh, well, you came up with that one, girl. So, you're going to have to trademark that one. But what a fun idea. Oh, so my dream. So I've said in 2022, my dreams are coming true. Ooh. All right. That's my affirmation that I wrote for myself. I encourage everybody to write an affirmation that's just for you alone, right? Own it. But wouldn't it be great to have a team of people someday that would help me do all the things I want to do? Oh, because I'm just one person.
I know.
Yeah, that app. All right, maybe I'm going to have to bring you on board and be part of my team one of these days.
I love it. I'll be honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for the privilege.
Thank you for listening. Please visit the website at www.leveluptribes.com. And please subscribe to the podcast and share with your family and friends. Be sure to tune in to our next episode. Catch you all next time, my beloved tribes.